I'll give you guys a warm-up problem while we're waiting for everybody else.
Okay.
Good morning. All right, so here's a warm-up problem first. I'll put it in the chat, the worksheet for today too. So this is about APY, so I'll put the APY formula in the chat as well. While we're waiting for everyone else, just try that. And then when you have the right answer, send it to me directly in the chat. Good morning, everyone. Go ahead and try the problem on the screen. It's also on this document that I'll put in the chat right now. When you have an answer, type it directly to me. I'll also put the formula for APY in the chat in case you don't have your hands on it right now. And then we'll do our mindfulness Monday after we get this warm up done. I was a little worried you guys weren't coming today, but you're here, so I feel better. Okay, so on this problem, you are doing APY to 4 decimal places, and then you're deciding which is the better investment. Remember, send me your answer after you get it. I don't have any answers yet. Directly to me. Okay, now I'm getting some answers. We still have some rounding issues. Yeah. They're like, ugh, rounding is killing me. If you're not sending me answers, if you're still working, or if you have a question, you should let me know. I got lots of no cameras on, so make sure you get those on. All right, So I'm not getting answers from some of you. It's hard for me to help you when I don't know what's happening, right? Especially when you don't have your cameras on too. So make sure you ask questions, turn on your camera if possible, or let me know why you can't have your camera on and ask me questions if you're stuck. So this is what you should get. We're using the APY formula that I put in the chat. So bank B is the better option since it has the higher APY, even though the interest rate is lower, right? So when you look at the original interest rate, the one for bank B is lower, but since it's compounded daily and the other one is only compounded quarterly, it ends up being a higher number. Now, some of you are having some rounding issues. Make sure we'll practice those tomorrow too. So ask me questions if you're struggling with that. So any questions on APY? That's what your homework was over the weekend and everything?
I do. It was a bit challenging for me because I was trying to follow along with the video on the TVM solver when it didn't give you an amount and it wanted you to find the APY. I would get an NAN, but then I know the formula, so I would try to do it. But because it would give me like a 3.4125, it was just too many numbers. And usually when we do it in class, it's just 7.1% or 6.8%. So what do I do when it's 4? Like,
you still put in all the digits. Your calculator should still let you.
okay,
right?
Then I'm probably typing something in wrong because I kept getting them all wrong.
Yeah. Was it on a particular one on the more homework?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up, but it won't let me back in.
Okay, so let me take a look at it when you guys are working today, and then maybe I can help you. I don't use the TVM for APY because I think it is a little harder to do. I just use the formula. So let me look at yours while we're working on some other things, and I'll take a look and see if I can help you, V.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, I see which one, like on number 7. Yeah, where it had like 4.2727% and 4.3125%.
Yes.
So I'll take a look at those. And then it looks like the next one after that, you just weren't rounding to the right place value. So because it said to 4 places and you only went to 2 places.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll take a look at those. Okay, so we're going to do a Mindfulness Monday activity first. It's 5 minutes. It's similar to one we did last week. It's not the same as the one we did last week. Okay, so that's fine. But I think it's a really good one. It's one that I really needed today. So hopefully it will help you and put you back in the perspective of what we need to do today, which is get through this annuity, this math info. Okay. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. If you want to turn off your cameras during this part, you totally can. This one's 5 minutes long, okay? I thought I was done sharing. Okay, there we go. Oh, dang it, hold on. You won't be able to hear it.
Thank you for joining me for this 5-minute guided meditation to practice resiliency and focus on peace and healing. As always, let's begin by finding a quiet and peaceful place to meditate and assume a comfortable upright position. Closing your eyes, as you take in 3 deep breaths, bring in awareness. Breathe in and feel the oxygen fill your lungs as your chest expands. Breathe out, feel your chest fall. Breathing in, become aware of the weight of your head as it sits comfortably on your shoulders. Breathing out, let your shoulders relax as you pay tribute to each part of your body. Acknowledge your arms, your hands, your fingers. As you breathe, recognize your chest, your stomach, your posterior. Move down to your legs, your feet, and your toes, and find peace in the knowledge you are whole and safe where you are right now. Continue with your breath and repeat these phrases to yourself. I will be kind to myself today. I will find peace and healing today. I am doing the best that I can in this moment. I will accept that change is a part of life. I have hope for the future. Life right now may not be what we planned. There is disappointment and sadness, but there is also love and light and hope. Practicing compassion to ourselves and to others will help us overcome. Whatever disappointment or sadness that has taken up space in your mind, let it go and repeat the phrases. I will be kind to myself today. I will find peace and healing today. I am doing the best that I can in this moment. I will accept that change is a part of life. I have hope for the future. Feel the peace and calm all around you. And take in a deep breath as you start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Move your head from side to side. When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this compassion for yourself and others with you throughout your day. Thank you.
All right. So, I don't know about you, but things have been going on. So make sure you take the time and you take care of yourself and things like that. Okay. We're almost done. We're so close. You guys can do it. It's just a little bit longer. I know that you guys have a lot going on and it's very stressful and it might be hard to come to class and all of those things. I get it. So it's just important that we hang in there because I know you can do it. okay? So take care of yourself. Take the time to do the things you need. Okay. Today, we're going to talk about annuities. You did your textbook reading last night, I hope. And you have your mini lesson that's due tonight, and then your practice that's due tomorrow night. You can be working ahead. I know some of you are like, Tuesday night, I can never have homework done, right? So I need to do my homework Monday night for Tuesday night. That's totally fine. You can do that throughout the week. I have it all up for you. Let's talk about what annuities are. So I don't know about you, but this is true for most people. Most people can't put in a large sum of money all at once, right? Like today. So they put in smaller deposits from each paycheck, right? And this is called a savings annuity. This is how most retirement accounts work. So in this class, we're going to assume that you put in the same amount of money into the account on a regular schedule, like every month, every year, every quarter, etc. And you let it sit there earning interest. So some of you are like, haha, paycheck, that's funny. I don't get one yet, right? Because I'm just a student. I understand. Or you're like, there is no money left over after my paycheck, right? Like, I get that. I understand it. Maybe it's not where you are right now, but hopefully it's where you will get when you start earning a regular paycheck, okay? So this is paying yourself. This is the idea behind it. So we were talking about compound interest before, but now this is really like how you can save more money, right? Using compound interest, but through an annuity and making these smaller deposits over time. Okay, that's the idea. Now, don't cry when you see these formulas. Here's your formulas, yeah? They're hard. Here's your formulas. They're a little bit challenging looking, but if you put them in your calculator accurately, you'll get the right answer. You could also use the TVM solver. Now, the hardest part is reading it and making sense of what I need to do in the problem. So if you look at these three formulas we have right here, the first formula is solving for future value or solving for A, which we've done before, right? We want to know how much is in our account. Now, how these questions are going to differ is the questions are going to say something like, you put in $20 each week or each month or each quarter or each year for this amount of time at this interest. How much will you have in your account later? Okay, so that's what that question would look like. If you look at this one where it's solved for PMT, now you're asking a question like, I'd like to have $1 million in my retirement account when I retire. So how much money do I have to put in each week, each month, each quarter, each year, whatever it is? So this is a fun game for you to play right now. It's not necessarily a fun game for me to play because I'm much closer to retirement than you are. So it might be a sad game for me to play as I'm putting more children through college. Okay. So then this last one is, how much do I have in my account? Like, how much do I have to have in my account right now for it to grow to a certain amount, right? Because you might just not be able to put in a payment each month. You might have to have in a certain amount to start. So that's how our questions are going to look a little bit different than they looked with just compound interest. You can still use the TVM solver, just so you know, okay? So let's look at an example. This is on the worksheet that I already put in the chat, but I'll put it in the chat one more time in case you didn't get it, okay? So there it is. And I highly recommend you write things down when you do it. So let's read through this. So it says you deposit $1,000 each year. That's how it's different than just compound interest. Before it would just say you deposited $1,000 into an account. It wouldn't say you do it over and over and over again each year. And it's going to earn 8% compounded annually. Now, mind you, that might not be a realistic interest rate, right? If you could find 8% interest, I would be very excited for you. But these are just example problems. So you could investigate what the interest rate is on your savings account at the bank, but it's probably less than 2%, just so you know. Okay. All right. So it's asking us how much will we have in the account in 10 years? So that's what the question is asking us. If we deposit $1,000 each year and we're earning 8% compounded annually, how much will we have in our account in 10 years? Now, this is the first question I want you to answer in the chat. Which one of these three formulas do we need? Are we solving for FV? Are we solving for PMT, or are we solving for PV? Get it ready in the chat, whether we're solving for FV, PMT, or PV. Okay, so get that ready in the chat. All right, everybody got it ready in the chat. On this problem right here, are we solving for FV, PV, or PMT? Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Nice. Okay, good news. That's the hard part, right? Figuring out which one you're solving for so you know which formula to use, or you know where to put it in the chat. I'm sorry, in the chat. You know where to put it in the TVM solver. That's the hard part. Okay. All right. Here's the link for the TVM solver. I highly recommend you bookmark that so you don't have to find it every time. So use your bookmarks on your browser and it will be very helpful. So now we know which formula we need. I'm going to do it both ways, with the formula and with the TVM solver, so you can see them both. So let's write down, this is the formula we want right here. Okay, that's the one we want. So we're going to write it down first, and then I'm going to have you guys fill in the blanks for me. Okay, so FV equals payment times 1 plus R over N to the N times T power minus 1 divided by R over N. Okay, so that's the formula you need. So now FV equals, I'm just going to call on whoever. If you want to volunteer, that's totally fine. What is PMT in this problem? What is PMT? I'll give you a few seconds to think.
1,000.
Very nice, V. How did you know the 1,000 was your PMT?
Because that's the deposit.
Yeah, and it's the deposit each year. That's how I know that this is an annuity, not just a compounded problem. Because I know it says compounded down here, but if I do it more than once, then it's a payment. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to put my parentheses, 1 plus, what is my R in this problem? What is my R?
0.08.
Very nice, 0.08. Because that is my interest rate. R is always a rate, so you look for your percent. And then what is N in this case?
One.
Very nice. How do you know it's 1, V?
Because it happens once a year.
Very nice, because it says compounded annually. Remember, lowercase n is how many times it's compounded in 1 year. So it's important that you think about that. So everybody understand how I filled it in so far? Excellent. Okay, so then up here, I already know that n was 1. What is t in this problem? What is t in this problem? Zevi says 10. And it's 10 because it says 10 years. Remember, the T is time in 10 years. okay, in this problem. Then I'm going to go -1, end my parentheses, divide it by 0.08 divided by 1, okay? All right, so now I'm going to put it into my Desmos calculator. Okay, any questions on where I got any of those numbers? Because this is all the stuff you have to be able to do. So if you don't know how to do it, now is a great time to ask, like, how'd you get that?
Yeah, how'd you get 10 again? I'm sorry, I had, oh, right there, never mind. I was
Nope.
reading just the part above. I just.
Yeah, and that's what happens sometimes because they'll do part A is a certain time and then part B is a different time. So yeah, you have to kind of look down further in the problem. Good question, Tashina. Anyone else have a question on where anything came from? Okay, so now we're getting ready to just calculator button push, right? So I'm going to go over here to my Desmos calculator. I'm just going to clear the whole thing. I'm going to type it in just like I wrote it in my formula. So 1,000 in parentheses times, I'm going to do a fraction, and in my numerator, I'm going to do 2 parentheses, 1 plus 0.08 divided by 1, and I'm going to arrow over and end those parentheses and hit this exponent button. I'm going to do more parentheses and do 1 times 10. The reason I'm putting in so many parentheses is so the calculator knows how to do it, but that's why I wrote my formula like I did, okay? And then I want to arrow over, so I go down a little bit, -1, and then my parentheses in the numerator is done. Now I'm going to go to the denominator and put in 0.08 divided by 1. I tried to help you out if you're not using Desmos 2, so it will make your calculator better. So Zevi and V, good job. So you should get $14,486.56. Now, please, please, please make sure you're trying it in your calculators, right? Just sitting there watching me do it in my calculator is not going to help you get the right answer. If you want to use this kind of calculator, that's totally fine. If you have a scientific calculator, that's totally fine. But you have to practice putting it in there because if you don't, you're going to get the wrong answer when you do the test and you're going to be very frustrated, or when you're doing your homework, right? Okay, we're going to move to the TVM in just a second, and it was not a different answer. I promise. Okay, so let's take a look. Any questions on the calculator version first? Is everybody okay? Okay, if you do this crazy amount of parentheses around there, you will get it right. All right, so now if we're going to do it on the TVM solver, okay? If we're going to do it on the TVM solver, oh, by the way, I put it in the chat, right? I put the TVM solver in here. Let's go back to the slides and talk through it first, okay? So if I'm going to use the TVM solver, I have to put in capital N. What is capital N in the TVM?
10.
It is 10, but sometimes it won't be the exact same number as T, right? Because sometimes you have to, if your N is not 1, you'll have to do N times T, okay? So after N, we have I, and I in this case is 8. Remember, you don't change it to a decimal, you just put it in as 8. PV is going to be 0. We don't have anything in the amount in the account to start with. And now this is the new piece, PMT. We're going to put in -$1,000. Why would I put in -$1,000 for PMT?
Because it's money that's going away from you.
Yeah, I have to pay that.
Giving it away.
So, yep, since it's a payment, I'm going to put in -$1,000. For FV, I'm going to put in 0. That's what we're looking for. Okay. And then TY and CY will both be 1 since it's just compounded annually. Yes, it says compounded annually, so N is 1. Any questions on how I got these values? Because you might say, I like the TVM so much more than a formula. But if you can't write down this key, it's not going to matter because you're going to get the wrong answer. So did you mess up on PY and CY? What did you put in there, Tashina? 12? 10. Okay, yeah. So be careful. Remember, PY and CY is always going to be the number of compounds. It's going to match lowercase n. Yeah. Okay. So now if I do that on the TVM solver, here's my TVM solver. If I go back and I put in 10 and I put in 8% and I put in negative 1,000 and I change this to 0 till I solve for it. And then I change PY and CY to 1. So that's what it looks like so far. Now I hit solve for FV and it gives me that same amount, $14,486.56. Did everybody get that on the TVM solver too? Did you get it both ways? So some of you are like, I'm not doing those stupid formulas anymore. I'm just using the TVM solver. I'm fine with that. But you just have to be careful and know that maybe on the test as a backup, you want to try the other way, right? So you should, especially when we're in class, try it both ways so you know if you get stuck on the calculator. Last class, we had a couple people making some mistakes on the calculator and we talked it through, okay? And we were able to fix their problems. Any questions on that first part of this problem? So we got our answer, and our answer was, see if I can write it in here, $14,486.56. Anybody have any rounding issues, trouble with that? That should be your answer. Great strategy, Zebby. Try it both ways. All right, so are you okay? You ready to move to part B? Any questions before we move to part B? Okay, let's read part B, and I know it's early and it's a stretch and it's a Monday, but let's really try to think part B through. How much money will you have put in the account? How much money did you put in the account? See if you can figure that out. So remember the information from the question. It says you put in $1,000 each year for 10 years. Yeah. So get it ready in the chat. I might give you maybe 30 seconds. Get it ready in the chat. How much did you put in the account when you're putting in $1,000 a year for 10 years? Don't hit enter yet. All right, everybody got it in the chat? How much did you put in the account? In 3, 2, 1, go. Look at that. All right, good job. So how did we get $10,000? Well, we put in $1,000 each year for 10 years. So we put in $10,000. Okay, but our account has more than that in it, right? Our account has $14,486.56 in it. Where'd that other money come from? because you only put $10,000 in. Where'd that other money come from?
Interest.
There you go. That's the whole point, right? Interest. So how do I find out how much interest I made? What would you do to figure out how much interest you made?
Oh, don't you subtract 14,000 from 10,000?
Very good. 14,000. Well, I'm not going to say from that. You subtract 10,000 from 14,000, right? You subtract $10,000 from 14,486.56, and you should get $4,486.56 is how much you earned in interest. That's kind of nice, right? So does everybody understand? Because you had to think, like, this isn't a formula on your worksheet. These are thinking questions, right? B and C, you had to think about them. It's not a formula on your worksheet. Is everybody okay with where we got those? Any questions? All right. So this is how I have these slides formatted in hopes that they can help you, especially if you're stuck on more late at night and you can't get help from me. You can get help from your Brain Fuse tutoring, right? Because they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? So if it's 11:30 and you're trying to finish up an assignment, probably I'm not going to email you back. So make sure you check on Brain Fuse if you need help, or you can go back to my slides, because notice on the slides I have down here, I have the formula all worked out for you. So you can see, oh, and I use Desmos, so you can see, oh, what did I do wrong? And then over here, I have the TVM solver. So if you're using the TVM, you can see what information you put in maybe incorrectly. So I tried to show you both ways, so it doesn't matter which way you're doing it. Okay? All right. So the next one on the worksheet, you're going to do it by yourselves, answer A, B, and C, and you can send it to me. Now, if you're nervous that you're going to get it wrong, send me answer A first before you do B and C, so you make sure, because for B and C, you need the answer from part A. So this time we're depositing $100 each month into an account, but we're only earning 6%, and now it's compounded monthly. So you have to remember, oh, how does that change my formula, right? How does that change my values? So try that. Private message me any questions you guys have, okay, while you're doing it. If you have your answer, you can send me that too. I'm going to give you some time to work. Okay, don't forget to send me your answers when you're done. If you're still working, that's totally fine. I have several answers, but I'm still missing some. All right. So some of you are, I hope I answered everybody. I've been close to answering some. Okay, so let's talk about whether you're using the TVM or the formula, okay? So this is what you should get. For part A, if you get part A wrong, then you're gonna get B and C wrong, okay? Just so you know. So on part A, for your answer, you should get $29,081.87. So this is what it will look like if you're using the TVM solver. You put in 180 for N because that's 15 times 12. You put in 6 for the interest rate. Make sure you changed your interest rate from 8 to 6. That's what I notice a lot of people do incorrectly. They just leave it from whatever it was the problem before. PV is 0 because we don't have anything in our account. We're putting in $100 each month, so that's why it's negative 100. And PY and CY are 12. So then we're solving for FV and we get $29,081.87. If you use the formula, it's the same formula we just used. You just have to make sure you change the items in your formula, right? So change the 1,000 to 100, change your 8% to 6%, change your annually to 12 since it's monthly, and then you have to do 12 times 15 and make sure you put it right here. This is where I usually forget it, by the way, right here in this last spot. I don't know why, but sometimes I forget to change that one. Okay, notice either way, we get the same answer. We still get that $29,081.87. Is there anyone who is still working and is still not getting either of these answers, whether you're using the formula sheet or the TVM solver? If you're using the formula and you're really frustrated with it, then try the TVM solver. Okay, Lee, really important. Where did you put the 100?
When I was doing the formula, I accidentally put the 100 right before the 1 and did a plus sign instead of the multiplication sign.
So this wasn't out here. You would put it up here somewhere,
Yeah.
right? Okay, yeah. It's extremely important that you're very precise, right? Anyone else figure out what they were doing incorrectly? Because I know this is very frustrating to put it all in and then getting a wrong answer. So if you use TVM, try the formula, right, to make sure you can get it. It's even just typing in exactly what I have on the screen. If you use the formula, then try TVM. So how are you doing? Is everybody okay? Did everybody get that now? Josh, did you find your mistake?
Yeah, I had just didn't put negative 100 for PMT.
Okay, there you go. And then your answer was off. Yeah, so you have to be careful. Okay, so how some of you were struggling with part B because it says how much money did you put in the account? That's a thinking problem. That's not really like a formula you're going to look up on your formula sheet. So you just have to read real carefully and say, okay, I put $100 in. I do it 12 times a year, and then I did that for 15 years. So if I multiply all three of those, it doesn't matter which order I do them in. As long as I multiply all three of those, I will see that I put in $18,000 into this account. The good news is I had way more than $18,000 in my account, right? I had $29,081.87 in my account. So if I subtract those two, I end up with the amount of interest I earned. So the interest I earned was $11,081.87. Any questions on that? I know some of you are still processing that, still trying to find your mistake, that kind of thing. All right, everybody okay? Ready to move on to the next one? All right. So on the next one, these are the fun games, I think. So this is, suppose you want to have $500,000 for retirement. So you want to retire with $500,000 in the account. Anyone want to retire with $500,000 in the account? Yeah, maybe I'd want more than $500,000. Is that an option, right? Can I have $1 million in my account? So that's what's nice about this is you can play a game of how much do I have to put in. So you want to have $500,000 for retirement, and you want to have it in 20 years. Okay, so you're going to retire in 20 years and you want to have $500,000 in your account. Now, here's where we get a little unrealistic, just so you know. Your account is going to earn 10% interest compounded monthly. It's not very likely that you're going to earn 10% interest. Okay, just so you know. But if you can find it, that would definitely be an investment you should do if you can get 10% compounded monthly. So now the question says, how much do you need to deposit into your account each month? How much do you need to deposit in your account each month? So remember our formulas were here. Which formula do we need now for this problem? Or in other words, what are we solving for? Any ideas? Nice. Tashina said payment. How did you know it was payment that we were solving for, Tashina? What words gave you the hint?
If you scroll back down for me, it was, sorry, I have
Sorry.
a bunch of kids.
You're good.
It was how much will you, or how much will you put in the account or something like that.
Yeah, how much would you need to deposit? And then it
There you
says
go.
each
Deposit
month.
each month.
Excellent. So if we're doing it over and over and over again, it's got to be a payment that we're solving for. Okay. So it's got to be a payment. Any questions on how we know it's a payment? Okay, because that's the hard part of the problem, right? Besides just making sure you get all your parentheses in there. So here's the formula we're going to use. Payment equals future value divided by 1 plus r over n times to the n times t power minus 1 divided by r over n, like that. Now you can use the TVM solver, right? And this time you're going to solve for payment, but you have to make sure you're solving for the right thing. So see if you can do that formula. If you want to do TVM, think about what you need to plug in for all of these things. And if you're not writing either this down or this down, you're not really doing something that's going to help you for the test. So make sure you're writing either all your TVM stuff down or your whole formula down. So try that. Make sure, again, you get an answer for part A before you try B and C. And send me those messages or questions whenever you have them. Okay, I have a couple right answers coming in and some questions coming in. So keep those questions coming if you have any of them. Okay, some of you are still working, which is fine. I'm just going to write down what I put in for the formula so you can see where maybe you made your mistake. All right, so someone asked if I could show you how to type it in on Desmos. Yeah, I totally can. So, and if you're using a calculator, depending on what calculator you're using, it can be challenging to get all those parentheses in there. So I'm just going to show it you up here. This is what the Desmos would look like. Okay, that's not what my TI-84 looks like, but that is what my Desmos calculator looks like. When I put it in my TI-84, I put it in exactly like I had written it on that previous screen. So do you notice right here? Sorry, I'm gonna move away from this for just a second, Ruki. I'll come back to it. Right here, do you notice I have 3 parentheses starting right there? Do you see that? Parentheses, parentheses, parentheses. If I don't put it in like that, I get the wrong answer. So make sure you're careful. Now on here, on Desmos, I still have those 3 parentheses. And yeah, so be careful. Make sure you're putting in your decimal point in the correct place. Or if you're using the TVM solver, you don't put it in. So some of this is going to be practice. So in class, make sure you should be able to put it in just like I have written it, okay, and get the right answer. If you're using Desmos, it'll look like this. If you're using just a regular TI-84 calculator or even a scientific calculator by hand, what you'll be typing in will look just like this. So when I type it in, I have to put in 500,000 divided by, I put it in just like this. Right here to get to my exponent, on my calculator, I have to put in that little caret symbol. That's how I get to that exponent. And then when I get at the end, I have to arrow to the right so I get out of the exponent. So that might be some of your problem as well. So if you're writing down the formula right, but you
I did
just
it.
not, yay,
Yes.
you got it?
I did it. Yes.
Yeah, so, but it's really calculator button pushing. So if you don't get all of those parentheses in there and you're still getting the wrong answer, that's what you need to practice. Or you need to switch to the Desmos calculator or to the TVM solver. Okay, and V was doing both of them, which is a really good idea. And when you do the TVM solver, if you're not careful, like if you don't have a 0 in here to start and you try to solve, it'll give you a weird error. Or if you don't have a 0 in here before you solve, it'll give you an error. It'll say like, what was it saying? Like NAAN or something. Yeah. Okay, so you should get a payment of $658.44. And then to figure out how much you put in the account, you're going to take that times 20 years times 12 compounds per year. And you've put in $158,025.60, but you got $500,000 in your account. So you earned over twice that in interest, which is really nice, right? You have $341,974.40 in interest. Okay, so we didn't get to the last problem. It's very similar to what we just did, just much smaller numbers. Okay, and let's look at what you have to do tonight. And I'll post these slides right after class so you can compare your calculator to my calculator and the TVM to, you know, whatever you're putting in there. So you have a mini lesson due tonight. You have PF7 annuities homework due tomorrow night. Then you have PF8 and throughout the week. On Thursday, we're going to be working on our final project. So make sure you're already thinking about that, okay? And then I'll put the exit ticket in the chat. Try that. Remember, we're in PF7. Read the question carefully when you do it. And you can work ahead in more, like it's not a problem. We're going to spend tomorrow on PF7 again, because sometimes there's 2-step problems. Like you do something for a while and then you do something else for a while. So just in case you get to your homework and you're like, what is happening? We haven't done this yet. Hopefully we're doing it tomorrow, okay? All right, good job today. I'll hang out here if you have any questions. Go ahead and try your exit ticket and I'll see you tomorrow.